Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to talk about upcoming content for Final Fantasy XIV. Now, no doubt, most of us at least have taken care of Endwalker's main scenario, leveled a few jobs, maybe tried out the extremes, Pandemonium normal, crafted, gathered, whatever. We've done a few things, it's been a little over a month now, and people start to wonder, so when's the next content patch? When's 6.1? What's coming next? And some of us who have played the game for quite some time we got our fingers on the pulse when it comes to when they release content, how they release content, and what kind of content they release. So I figured I'd take through people who are newer to Final Fantasy XIV or just aren't as in tune with all the news as to what they can expect in the coming months and when they can expect it. Now, first and foremost, it's important to remember that Final Fantasy XIV is designed to be a pick it up and put it down kind of MMO. If you're done with 6.0's content, you don't find anything interesting, Yoshi P would encourage you to feel free to unsubscribe and resubscribe when there's content that you do enjoy, especially right now with the way the servers are. I'm sure he particularly wouldn't mind in this specific case. So keep that in mind with our timelines and what types of content we're going to be talking about, because some of it may keep you playing for months and some of it you might just roll right by and not really care for. So first and foremost, remember we have patch 6.08 at the end of the month, at the end of January, which is largely going to be a job balancing patch. There's no major content, but if you've been looking for some buffs for your favorite job, then please look forward to it then. We'll officially be getting news about new content in late February when the next letter from the producer live, basically a newsletter with all the new stuff we can expect, will be taking place. And of course, we'll be doing coverage on that as well. That'll be our first preview in the patch 6.1, which we can expect in late March or early April. Generally, the rule of thumb is you take when they release a patch, you go forward in time 17 weeks and you mark it on your calendar. Now, last couple of years, that obviously hasn't panned out to be an exact science, but at least that's a minimum expectation. Even if everything were to be functioning normally, that would be what you would expect. Now, before we go into 6.1 though, there is some content that we know they're working on that we don't know when it's going to release. Island Sanctuary, weapon progression content. This would be relics, zodiacs, anima weapons, the Shadowbringer's relic, the resistance weapon. And so we don't know when that's going to happen, but it's almost certainly going to happen at some point. Deep Dungeon, they did make mention that they are working on one, so we can guesstimate that, but we don't know. Female Hrothgar might not even be an Endwalker. That might be a 7.0 thing, but we know they're currently working on it, and when it's done, we will get it. And also, supposed to get a new Gold Saucer game. I think I remember them mentioning that might be 6.1, but I can't remember for certain, so I need a source on that. So it's going in the unknown release window category. Anyway, let's see what's in patch 6.1, shall we? So as I said, late March, early April would be the expected date for this. Honestly, that's perfect. Gives me time for Elden Ring, gave me time for Monster Hunter Rise PC, gives us time for Horizon Forbidden West, gives us time for Stranger Paradise, gives us time for a lot of things. So I'm kind of grateful. So what's going to be there? First of all, MSQ. We're going to be starting the next major story arc in Final Fantasy XIV. The Hydaelyn Zodiark storyline is finished as of Endwalker's release, and 6.1 will see us embarking on a brand new journey. Curious to see where it takes us and what characters will be at the forefront. We already know a couple based on some interviews, but I'm sure there'll be some twists and turns. Now, we are actually going to be getting another role quest in patch 6.1 as well. It's going to be a bonus for completing all of the current ones. So if you only have one of them done, you're going to be missing out on this. You got to have all 5 of the different role quest series done in order to unlock this new quest. A new dungeon. This has become standard, but the more we try to predict how many dungeons we'll get, the more they seem to deviate away. They're just not as big a fan of releasing standard 4-man dungeons. So I'm putting one new dungeon on this, but there may come a day where they don't even add a new dungeon in a patch. We don't know that. That day may come, but we don't know. That's, going to drop item level 575 gear, which is, nice. Not bad for catch up. A new 24-man raid series, Myths of the Realm. This is going to be the first of 3 24-player raids, each to be released on the odd-numbered patches. So 0.1, 0.3, and 0.5. That's going to drop item level 590 armor with a weekly lockout, and you should be able to obtain upgrade materials once per week as well in order to upgrade your Tombstone of Astronomy gear. In case you're wondering about these, the 24-man raid series, pretty casual content. It's not something you need a serious group for at all. It's jump in, jump out, just like your Alliance Roulette. Its item level is always the same as unupgraded Tombstone gear. So your astronomy gear that you're buying unupgraded, it'll be the same as that. You just can't upgrade this. So, when you're buying those weekly upgrades, you'll eventually outscale it. On top of that, there's usually like minions, orchestrion rolls, some other quest rewards. There's a few different things. We, of course, have an extreme trial. The final main scenario trial will have its extreme difficulty released in patch 6.1. That's going to drop item level 595 weapons, and then usually Orchestrions, Minion, Mount, you know, the same drill with that. Now, one of my favorites, the return of the Unreal content. So Unreal is a difficulty that's more akin to time walking than it is an actual new difficulty. They take really old primals and trials that we've done in the past. They update them, bring them up to our max level stats, and otherwise mechanically they stay exactly the same. They limit our item level pretty severely though, so it's not a complete face roll, and then you clear it once or twice a week in order to play a little mini game called the Fox Hollows. I've earned tons of gil off that, and it's a fun little activity that takes 30 minutes to an hour for me every week, so I really enjoy it. I'm hoping for Ravana Unreal. That's going to be my prediction for that, but there's no actual gear drops for Unreal content itself. Now, 6.1, huge patch because it's also going to be Final Fantasy XIV's next attempt at PvP. Next attempt. Who knows if it's the last, but the next one. The new mode, the Crystal Conflict, is going to feature 5v5 gameplay. Not 4v4, 8v8, 5v5. And the goal is to push the objective into the other team's starting point. It's basically like two-way payload. You know, whichever team pushes it to the other team's first wins, or whichever one's furthest along when the timer ends will automatically win. But there's also going to be a complete rework of the PvP system for that. There's new reward structures that are coming in for that. So while Crystal Conflict is a new mode, is going to be fun and exciting, it's really everything around it that the PvP community is really paying attention to. And among those first things are series. Now, series is basically like, how do I want to describe this? So it's a new reward structure for PvP. Yeah, I wrote it down. Have you ever seen like a game like Fortnite where they have the seasonal passes where, you know, you got like 30 days to complete it, you know, you win a match and you get some points and yada, yada, yada. It's like that, but there's no paid component. You know, it's just a pass of progress. You don't have to buy like a premium route or anything like that. So compete in any PvP mode, not just the Crystal Conflict, earn levels on your pass, which unlocks new rewards. Then, just so you don't have this fear of missing out element, they're going to make it so that if you miss a series and the rewards in a series, they actually become purchasable for a currency that you get from completing any of the passes. So if you were to start like 2 years from now and do the series that's going on at that time, collect the currency from gaining the levels, you could buy the stuff that we're going to get in this first series. So don't worry if you can't miss a series. You don't have to worry about that. You can get it at any point in the future. So looking forward to that. I'm going to be completing every single one of those. There's also going to be a new PvP season. This is the competitive season. You'll be doing this in the Crystal Conflict itself, and that rewards unique things for high-performing players. That can be mounts, that could be glam, that could be a trophy. But it is your traditional PvP season. Also, reworked PvP gameplay. So this we actually don't have a lot of information about. So they said that players are going to largely be equalized in terms of available actions. Basically, they want to eliminate the healer shouldering all the burden. But then they also said that each job will have its own limit break. I believe it's called an adrenaline rush in PvP, which is based on your job. So that makes it sound like every single player has the exact same skills, and the only thing to differentiate them is the limit break, which is strange. I don't know how that'll play out, but we don't have all the information, so I could be misunderstanding. Please wait for the live letter in February to hopefully learn more about that. Now, after that is the true PvP, and that of Ishgard housing. So they're getting a whole new housing district. All of the servers are going to have houses opening up, but it's also going to be coming with lottery-based applications. So you'll basically have to put your name in a fishbowl, put down the money, put the down payment in there with that entry into that fishbowl, and if they pull your name, the house is yours. There are some anti-abuse systems to make sure that people don't just gamble on winning the house and then don't take it too many times. That's going to be considered griefing, but it's going to be that way for everybody. All the houses are going to be lottery from this point on. So no more clicking for 30 hours just to hope that you're the one that claims the house. Just fingers crossed. That's the best you're going to do. Then we have Beast Tribe quests. Now, this isn't technically confirmed, but every 0.1 patch prior to this has had them, so I'm going to put it in the prediction list. These are daily quests that advance the story of one of the non-traditional civilizations. It's been anything from actual beast tribes in the past to things like the Pixies and Shadowbringers and so on and so forth. So it usually moves around being how much of a beast tribe it actually is. 6.1 is normally for combat jobs. You can use it as a great daily leveling tool. And it's something most people will work into the rotation. There are other rewards you can get from it, glam, materia, things like that, but it is largely used as a leveling tool. And finally, probably the premier thing for someone like me, the Dragon Song War Ultimate. The highest difficulty encounter in Final Fantasy XIV is making its return. It's an 8-player raid with a single 15-minute encounter against much tougher versions of the previous bosses. It's an embellished retelling of classic story moments. So this is going to be Dragon Song War Ultimate. We already know that the bosses from the Vault dungeon at level 57 are going to be making an appearance. Thornton, no doubt making an appearance. Nidhogg, very likely to make an appearance. And who knows, there are other characters they could throw in the mix. But it's supposed to be, as it's an ultimate epic retelling of the Dragon Song War. Now, this does not mess around. If you plan on taking this down, you are going to need whatever is best in slot at the moment. It's the only thing that's really gear gated in the game. You need full-on Asphodelos Savage best in slot gear. You need a clear of Asphodelos' final encounter on the Savage difficulty, and this will reward item level 605 weapons with 3 materia slots, an achievement, and a title. Now, after Dragon Song War Ultimate comes out, there's nothing. We don't know. They could do stuff in 0.15 that could announce things that aren't on this list. So consider this a minimum of what to expect, or at least a projected minimum of what to expect. But then you'll be on the waiting train again, another minimum 17 weeks, and then patch 6.2 will be expected to release late July / early August. Don't think those predictions are going to come true on those release dates, but I'll hold on to hope. I'll hold on. That's going to have new MSQ, a new dungeon, another new Beast Tribe quest. Classically in Shadowbringers, this was a Gathering tribe. That was the first time they ever outright did a Gathering-only tribe. And I suspect they'll probably keep to that trend here and do that for the second one as well. And we also begin a new trial series. This is like a themed set of trials that we get once per patch until the end of the expansion. So it's normally 0.2, 0.4, and 0.5 as when we get these trial bosses. But with the way the story is, 0.3 is less of a finale of the MSQ than it normally is. So we might actually get 4 bosses as part of this trial series. So previous ones would be the Warring Triad, the Four Lords, and the Sorrow of Warlit. A Realm Reborn didn't really have this. All of the trials were part of the MSQ. And so, who knows? I'm predicting it's going to be the 4 Fiends from Final Fantasy IV. Because we've had Final Fantasy IV stuff, so why not? So that's going to be my prediction, but I wouldn't mind an original take or something along those lines either. We have another new Unreal trial. Unreal actually cycles out quests, or cycles out encounters. So like whatever the encounter for 6.1 is will be removed when 6.2 comes out. And then 6.2 will be a new encounter until 6.3. I kind of want them to move away from that. I'd rather they keep every encounter and then rotate them weekly when 0.1 goes until the end of 0.5. Because it just doesn't make sense to remove it until the end of the expansion. Then you can remove it because they just don't want them to... They basically don't want to have to worry about having more low-level content or like, you know, below max level content versions of this content than they already have. So I at least want them to do that. Also in 0.2, our next tier of Pandemonium raids, normal mode and savage mode will be released. And normally in 0.2 and 0.4 patches, unlike in 0.0, these are released the same day as the patch. That may not be the case. We've had them say they might make a change and make it so that the normal mode comes out the day of the patch and the savage mode is delayed, but that's not confirmed yet. So I'm only making mention of it, but it's not confirmed. Now there is some other probable content. The weapon progression questline normally does begin in 0.25, but if it does, it's really more of a super quick quest. At least it was in Shadowbringers. In the previous expansions, it was absolutely not. But in Shadowbringers, it was like a 1-hour quest, you know, just story to get you introduced. So at the very minimum, I would expect that, but they might just not do it at all until 0.35. We'll have to wait and see. Also, a new PvP series, a new PvP season, and there are technically other things. Island Sanctuary is on the table for pretty much any of these. A new Deep Dungeon is on the table for any of these. But 0.25 is not a normal patch for them to add a Deep Dungeon based on our examples from years and years ago, which again is not definitive, but just how I have to base this off of. And honestly, the last patch I'm going to cover in this is 6.3. I think at this point, I've established most of the trends you can expect. That expected release date, if there are absolutely 0 delays, would be late November, early December. I'll tell you what, if the other patches are delayed, this is looking like another ho-ho-ho raid tier possibility, or at least a New Year raid tier possibility. So fingers crossed that it stays on schedule. Even late November, early December is a pretty tough place to have a new patch. Fortunately, 0.3 normally doesn't really have a raid tier. So the only way this becomes a problem is if another new ultimate comes out in 0.31, in which case that's 2 weeks delayed. Always something I kind of skimped over when I mentioned 6.11 was Dragon Song War Ultimate. So fortunately, it's not another Savage tier, but possibility for an Ultimate in 0.3, so I'll have to say. Again, new MSQ, new dungeons, new Beast Tribe. This one probably crafting based on Shadowbringer's trends. Another new trial. This, again, was previously like an expansion ending trial, but this might just be part of the trial series because we already finished the expansion technically right on release. Another new Unreal trial cycles in. Another new Myths of the Realm 24-man raid comes out. The continuation of the weapon progression questline, if not the introduction of it, would also be in this, and that'll be in every major patch, usually in like a 0.5 patch, like a 6.35, 6.45 style update would be when you would normally see those things. There's also, of course, possibility for a new series, a new season, new deep dungeon, Island Sanctuary updates, maybe new exploration content, maybe a new ultimate. 0.3 is really up in the air. But I think you kind of get the point. Every 17 plus weeks, we get a patch. We get new MSQs, new dungeons, new really basic stuff, and then they always throw tons of little surprises, quality of life, job balance changes, maybe job reworks in their entirety. So I'm giving you a minimum, and I'm giving you expectations, and I'm giving you explanations of how things work. Because in the future, you don't even need me. You can just look at what they've done in the past and go, oh, they'll probably do that again. And when they don't, it's a surprise. It's welcome. It's new. It's fresh. But until then, don't stress yourself out about playing too much. There's no reason to. If you're done with the things that, you want to do, unsubscribe. It's going to be a busy gaming season coming up until that late March / early April season, and I doubt you'll even get to half the games that you want in that time as it is, not to mention backlog. So don't stress it. Unsubscribe. Feel free to do so. Yoshi P's encouraging it. I think we're all kind of encouraging it right now. And just have a good time. Come back in 6.2. Anyway, I'll still be posting content on the channel. I got plenty of videos still lined up for you guys. As long as I'm feeling happy and healthy, then I'll be good to go on that front. But with that, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned for more Final Fantasy content, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, take care.